Hello, second grade readers, and welcome to the reading lesson for today. Today's reading lesson is going to be kind of short because we're going to be kind of putting all of the pieces together in terms of using all of the reading strategies that we've learned about in the past few days and just using all of them when we're reading our stories. So I just wanted to quickly review some of the strategies that we learned to help us become better readers. So one of the strategies that we talked about in one of our reading lessons was collecting information about the main characters. So if you remember, we did a lot of work with the Scaredy Squirrel book and the Scaredy Squirrel series, and we used those series to kind of help us learn all of these good reading strategies. And so remember, collecting information about the main characters, when we were reading Scaredy Squirrel, we collected a lot of information about Scaredy Squirrel, right? We knew what kind of character he was, we knew some of the things that he was going to do in his stories, we knew some of the things that he was going to say in his stories. So collecting information about the main characters and really understanding who our main characters are, not just by name, but by some of the things that they do in the stories, is really important. And that's really going to help you not just read the story, but also really understand the story as well. So again, collect information about the main characters. Another one that we learned about, which was actually quite recently, was use the author's punctuation and special print to bring the story to life. So when you're reading, sometimes you might see the author use big bold letters, right, to really try and get the point across on that page. You might see words in all capital letters and words that might make some specific sounds, right? So that also adds to the story and really adds to the author's style of writing. And remember, the punctuation, are they using a period? Are they using a question mark? Are they using exclamation marks? Those are all things that you want to look for to really help you better understand the story, and also read with expression. When you read with expression, that makes your reading sound a lot more fluent. So if you really want to develop your fluency on reading, then definitely pay attention to the punctuation marks that the authors use in your stories. Okay? Another one that we learned about was think about the extraordinary language. Ask, what does it really mean? So remember, extraordinary language was kind of like language that didn't really make sense, but it has some kind of like meaning to it. So an example of extraordinary language, if you remember, was we felt like two leaves in a storm. Now, we as human beings aren't actually leaves in a storm, but if you remember, leaves in a storm, when you're a leaf in a storm and a storm is coming through, those leaves can go everywhere and it can just be very chaotic and crazy. So in other words, that extraordinary language, we felt like two leaves in a storm, kind of talks about being scared a little bit, or possibly just being in like a crazy state of mind, right? So again, asking ourselves, what does it really mean? When we see extraordinary language like that, we have to kind of think to ourselves, what is the author trying to tell us? Right? What is the author trying to say with that extraordinary language? So always pay attention to those key phrases or extraordinary language in a story. Another strategy that we learned about was use what they know to guess what the character will do next. And that kind of goes along with this one as well. Predict how the story will go using what you know about the other stories in the series. So this strategy over here is, again, using that information that we know about the character to predict or guess what the character is going to do next. And then over here, this one is more about the series. So again, we read Scaredy Squirrel, which has a number of books about Scaredy Squirrel. And there was a lot of things in common that we saw about Scaredy Squirrel in each of those books. So because we were reading all of the Scaredy Squirrel books, we probably could use the information that is in all of those Scaredy Squirrel books to predict what another Scaredy Squirrel book is going to be about. Right? So just using that information that you know and that you've learned from stories and applying that to possibly predict what's going to happen next in a story, or what an entirely new book is going to be about. Okay? Two more strategies that we learned. for reading. One of them was ask, why did the author end the book this way? What lesson am I supposed to learn? So we learned about how books and stories, a lot of times they have a very important message, or they have an important lesson that the reader is going to learn by reading the story. So just paying attention to that too, thinking to yourself, why is the author writing this story? What lesson are they trying to teach me? Or what is the hidden message in this story? Am I supposed to be learning something from this story and from what the characters are doing in this story? So always ask yourselves that question, kind of, what is the point of this story? What is the author trying to tell me through this story? Okay? And then the last one was think about what characters say and do. So just thinking about the characters, not only the information that you collected about them, but also kind of what they're saying and what they're doing, their actions, right? What is going on with each character in the story, and how does that apply to the whole story? So always think of those things as well. So when you're reading today, when you're doing independent reading, or if you're going on Raz Kids, or if you are doing, if somebody else is reading to you, I want you to think about some of these things, and I really want you to try and use some of these strategies when you're reading, not just today, but in the future, for as long as you continue to read. Okay, so continue to use these strategies. I will post them on the next page after this video, so that way you can have them and you can use them whenever you're doing your reading. Okay, boys and girls, good luck, and again, continue to use these great, wonderful strategies that all great readers use. Bye!